Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Hope you're all well. And we've finished inside St Dunstan's and All Saints Church, Stepney. And we're going to have a tour of its churchyard now. Wanted to start us off first with this interesting, not abandoned, but certainly not accessible building. This here is the old parish mortuary. When a murder victim or a man or woman found dead in the street their body needed to be put somewhere, this is where they'd be put. Yeah, it's a bit of a macabre one, obviously, but interesting nonetheless. It's got the slit windows with the vent things in it, narrow enough so a body can't be got out. Can't really see much inside. There ain't really much in there. Just stuff by the looks of it. Does that flash off? No. Now the flash is off. But this one here looks like a World War II kind of structure. And it's got a box thing on top of it, which is normally ventilation. So that's an interesting one. I'm wondering if it's some kind of shelter. But look, you can see through here the doorway into the old mortuary. Just there. Just there. Oh shit, now that's a beehive. Fuck that. Sorry, oh, I'm really sorry for swearing in a churchyard. My one terror in life is bees and wasps, so we are going, I am leaving. That's the mortuary. This is the property of St Dunstan's All Saints. Something natural honey. Local natural honey for sale. Oh, good lord. We are going, I am leaving. To the memory of William Henry Hawkins, who died the 10th of September 1863, aged 68 years. Also Susanna, wife of the above, who died 24th of June 1867, aged 71 years. The inscription, if there was one on the other side, is completely worn away. That's if there was one. I should imagine there would have been, because this is quite a big vault. It's a family vault in there. Vent things for it. The one around the other side is missing. If you were disrespectful and macabre enough, you could probably see what's inside, but I have limits. And you have to show respect, don't you? I mean, it's not seemly doing things like that. I've had a few offers where I can go into crypts, and I have had a look at a couple of them that are occupied, but I won't photograph or video them. And I was told with one that I could if I wanted to, but I don't think it's right. With a lot of its gravestones, the inscriptions have worn away, but there are quite a few readable ones. This is one that's been restored, and it's interesting. To the memory of Captain Henry Mudd, who died the 2nd of June 1692. This tomb was rebuilt at the sole expense of the Corporation of Trinity House of Deptford Strand in the year 1776 as a grateful testimony of his benefactions to that charity for decayed seamen and their widows and families. Restored 1876. So you've got a fairly interesting one there. I'm just going to do this quickly while I take a photo. This one round here, as you can see, it suffered damage during the war, and they actually repaired it. Sacred to the memory of Mr. Robert Oldfield, boatswain of His Majesty's ship Acorn, who departed this life December the 26th, 1816, aged 45 years. He was a tender husband, a faithful friend, and a dutiful son. From toils and troubles, quite a bit of it's worn away, but there's a verse there. And you've got also Mrs. Sarah Oldfield, wife of the above, who departed this life March the 19th, 1827, aged, that's 56 or 66 years. Also Miss Anne Barton, who departed this life November the 7th, 1840, aged 30 years. Also Catherine, oh no, it's not Barton, it's Patton, P-A-T-T-E-N, Patton, the girl above, mother of the above, who died December the 19th, 1852, aged, and I think that's 33 or 53 years, and the rest of it's all gone, as you can see. Oof. Well, it's incredibly warm. Sacred to the memory of Alice, the beloved wife of James Dunnett of this parish, who died suddenly on the 3rd of February 1841, at his aged 46. Death like a winged arrow quickly came and called to dust this frail, this mortal frame. The unfettered spirit leaped the house of clay to live and something looks like Relon with Christ in endless day. So yeah, you got that one there. Gosh, it's exceptionally warm. You've got a couple over here. These ones here are all inscriptions worn away. But they're vaults. Their owners or occupants would have paid a great deal of money for. This one sadly is on its wall, it's front side down. Sacred to the memory of Frances, wife of J.G. Francis, who departed this life May the 3rd, 1832, aged 58 years. She was an excellent wife, careful mother, and sincere something with the word of truth. And you've got the lovely old church there, St Dunstan's. Just point you up a minute because there's someone coming along. I don't like pointing in people's faces. There we go. Over here, which I will show you, is the First World War Memorial. In grateful memory of those, I think, deaths, this church and parish who fell in the Great War of 1914-1918, and whose names are recorded within the church. That's the roll of honour that we saw. This is the outside one, looking quite worn. And these are those tombs, and the railings around them. These are very original, and they were often in those days put there to try and deter body snatchers. Old churchyards, you'll see on their gates and some of their fences, in many cases they ground them down and made them safe, but you'll see, like, you know, the spikes that they used to have on fences like this, but curved. But curved, in case you try and pull a body over so it would snag up and everything, to prevent you from stealing dead bodies and basically selling them to anatomy schools, which isn't a nice thing. Now there are some stones there and they are completely worn away. There's more along this bit. I think it was along here anyway. Oh, it's warm again today, I'll say that for it. Get some more views of the church here. This tomb here, which I'm going to take you to, is an interesting one. I'll walk you around it first, and then we'll get our guidebook out and show you the details of said tomb. Looking a bit mossy. It has been restored over the years, because you can see by the new base that's been put on it, or newer base. Inscription around this side is all but completely worn away, so we shall rely upon our guidebook for this one. Oh, nearly lost two baptism records there. Basically it goes on to after the Reformation. After this, Stepney, for the most part, kept to the left in both religion and politics. In 1540, the vicar, William Jerome, was burnt at the stake for his extreme Protestant views. In 1558, the organ was sold and the church became a prim Protestant prayer hall under the control of vestry and oligarchy of the wealthy local merchants. During the Civil War, the parish was predictably staunchly parliamentarian, although the vicar at the start of the war, William Stamp, was not. He was not parliamentarian. He was imprisoned for trying to stop the Earl of Essex using his churchyard as a headquarters for recruiting local lads. Matthew Mead, an eminent 17th century Puritan divine, was appointed lecturer at Stepney in 1658. His followers founded the first independent chapel in the world, Stepney Meeting. So here is the tomb, and you've got above the tomb of Matthew Mead, died 1699, lecturer at St Dunstan's and minister of Stepney Meeting, the first independent chapel in the world. So Matthew Mead died in 1699, and basically really was the founding father of the first independent chapel. This is a big vault, this one. Can't really find out much on it. Like so many of the gravestones in churchyards, they wear away. The family vault of Robert Oh, it's really annoying because some of the first letters are missing. It's O-I, then N-S-O-N. So yeah, the big old vault. Quite a few occupants in that one, I can tell you. Mrs. Margaret Gardiner is the only one you can make out at the bottom, and you can only make her name out. There's more over here, and then there's more along there, so... Oops. Wasp. Sorry. I really am scared of them. Call me a baby if you want. They're not much. I've picked rats up by their tails and got rid of them and stuff like that. Whew. Wasps really scare me. I don't know why they scare me so much. My nan always said, oh, maybe you were stung to death in a past life. She was full of cheerful little anecdotes like that, my nan, bless her. This one, to the memory of Mrs. Mary Goucher, the beloved wife of Mr. John Goucher of Limehouse, shipwright, who departed this life October the 4th, 1851, aged 28 years. And you can see the rest of it's gone. So she was 28, he could have remarried. More than likely in those days with men they did. Some of them didn't. So if he's there and he didn't remarry, he obviously stayed faithful to her. But see, this is the thing, if you're into your social history and local history, there's so much of it that you can pick up on just from gravestones. In memory of Charles Aslat, A-S-L-A-T, died April the 12th, 1808, aged 26 years. Also Mrs. Sarah Sabin, died October the 16th, 1809, aged 63. Also Mr. Abel Germain. Let's get closer. Mr. Abel Germain, G-E-R-M-Y-N, Germain. Died January the 16th, 1811, aged 57 years. And you got also George Hodgson, and the rest of it's gone. These ones, for the most part, are pretty much worn away. This one is Marcus Stepney Thompson, M-A-R-C-U-S S-T-E-P-H-E-Y, Stepney Thompson. That's the only name you can make out, which is just that one there. The rest of them are really worn away. With a bit. Oh, cheers, mate. Thanks very much. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks, mate. Oh, drop me things there. That was nice, that fella. You noticed those. I should have to go all the way to Bancroft Road Archives again and get new copies. I'll put them in my bag in a minute. Try and get out of this sun. That's better. This one, there are faint traces of the lettering on there, which is Henry Walter Houdin. Houdin is the only one I can make out. Son of the above. So that's another vault one. See, a lot of these are made from the old like white ashlar or marbles, and they were very porous, so they wore away. I mean, this is an old sandstone one, and you can see little traces of the lettering, but not much. That's Georgian. And that's Mr. Richard. Surname's gone, I'm afraid. But Mr. Richard, whoever he may be, or was, rather, so. Ooh, I'll take my hat off, it's a bit warm. Arthur R. No, I won't, because I can't make out a lot of them, so some of them are too worn away for me. As you can see, that's our last one here, and at the bottom you've got Clarissa Will, W-I-L, Long, affectionate widow of the above. And the rest of it's gone, I'm afraid. We'll move over to these ones here now, because you've got some quite a few sarcophagus ones here. Now quite worn away. This one is anyway. This inscription all gone. And just see the faint traces, look. Also of Louisa, wife of T. Birch, carpenter. Can't really make out much more of that, I'm afraid. Such a shame. If you was to go through the monumental inscriptions books, which most parishes have done in the 1930s, you'd find more about the inscriptions and that worn away. But this one over here, which isn't too worn away and is interesting, so we're going to focus on this wee one. Well, not wee one. It's a big vault underneath this stone. The vault beneath this stone are deposited the remains of Mr. James Crockford, died June the 22nd, 1787, aged 37. Mrs. Anne Clarkson died... Let's just get my hat out of the way a minute, sorry. Mrs. Anne Clarkson died December the 26th, 1818, aged 68. Charlotte Ann Lydia Everton, and this is the one I really liked, a faithful servant in the family for 46 years, died June the 19th, 1821, aged 60. So they must have thought an awful lot of that woman to bury her in with their own family in a big private vault. Mr. Thomas Mann, waterman to His Majesty's Victualling Board, from childhood distinguished for his integrity, simplicity and perseverance, for success in his calling, for his firmness of faith in Christ, and for his extraordinary benevolence. Died December the 11th, 1822, aged 75 years. Mr. Joshua Clarkson died June the 29th, 1825, aged 67 years. The above were removed from St Catherine's by the Tower in 1825/26, so they were bought here later on. Amy Ann Cable died February the 1st, 1831, aged 3 years and 6 months. Crockford Man Cable died September the 26th, 1835, aged 1 year and 7 months. Mr. Thomas John Crockford died January the 19th, 1856, aged 69 years. Mrs. Anne Crockford, wife of the above Mr. T.J. Crockford, died July the 29th, 1858, aged 70 years. Mary Ann Cable, daughter of James and Mary Ann Cable, died January the 21st, 1861, aged 32 years. Quite a few of them were fairly long-lived. And that's nice with the servant, isn't it? This one's sunk right down, as you can see. That dips down a lot. Sacred to the memory of Anne Elizabeth, widow to Thomas Ward Esquire. She died at Brighton, July the 11th, 1863, aged 84 years, and is interred in Ovingdean Churchyard, Sussex. There is a verse, bits of it are missing. Pause and make it out if you can. I generally just go for the names, because if I did all the verses and everything it would take a long time, and we're at 25 minutes already. Not that I mind, but the longer ones, as I said before, I have to go on YouTube. They're over 35 minutes. Sacred to the memory of Thomas Ward Esquire, late ship owner and merchant of the City of London, and 60 years an inhabitant of this parish, of the parish of Stepney. He died October the he was born October the 8th, 1775, and departed this life January the 2nd, 1847, in the 72nd year of his age. His remains are deposited in this vault. So, sacred to the memory of Master Samuel Soames, son of Mr. Samuel and Sarah Soames of this parish, who departed this life 26th of January 1828, aged 12 years. Also Mary Ann, wife of Joseph Soames Esquire of the Grove, Mile End, who departed this life the 21st of November 1835 in her 46th year. Also of Joseph Soames Esquire, MP, Member of Parliament, late of the Borough of Dartmouth, husband of the above, who departed this life 25th of June 1846, aged 85 years. Now, he died in Dartmouth as well, was one of the things I was able to find out. He died in Dartmouth and they brought the body back here and he was buried here, which shows that he must have been either gone into a lead-lined coffin or embalmed, most likely both. Sacred to the memory of Mr. Samuel Soames of Mile End, who departed this life November the 26th, 1816, aged 58 years. He lived respected and died lamented. Sacred to the memory of Samuel Francis Soames Esquire, who departed this life the 29th of January 1829, aged 43 years. Also of William Henry Bryant, Henry Bryant, died 26th of June 1841, aged 51 years. Whew, it's very warm. Got a couple over there and a couple over here. I won't point you directly behind me because there's a guy sitting by the tree and I don't like to film people without their consent. It's not fair. Henry, H-E-L-D, Henry Held, and the rest of that's missing. But yeah. Head, it's Head, Henry Head. Ellen Head, wife of Alfred Head, born May the 8th, 1810, died 2nd February 1890. Alfred Head, born 26th of February 1797, died 15th February 18, and I can't make that out because I'm afraid it's gone. So 18 something 8. Oh, gosh, I'm sweating like a piaggi. Ellen Maria Head, Born 9th of September 1842, died 1st of May 18, and the edge is gone. This one's had restorations over the years, you can see. Unfortunately, there's no details on it. That one just there, blank, like it's one smooth as well. There's bowls of water on there for the birds. Sacred to the memory of George Robert Lemon, eldest son of Robert and Anne Lemon. Born in Stepney, February 21st, 1832. Interred in entered into rest, March the 15th, 1898. Some of these are quite detailed, you know. You don't normally get detail that good on some of these. The family vault of Robert and Anne Lemon. Sacred to the memory of Robert Lemon, who departed this life June the 17th, 1858, aged 50 or 59 years. Also of Anne, widow of the above, who departed this life December the 11th, 1880, aged 76 years. So he died in 58, aged 50. Yeah, it's aged 50 he died. Yeah. And this one, the family vault of Mr. Henry Lane. Sacred to the memory of Mr. Henry Lane, Esquire, of this parish, shipbuilder. Obit July the 7th, 1858. Etat, 48 years, which means he died on July the 7th, 1858, aged 48 years. Esteemed and beloved by all who knew him. Henry something William, second son of Henry Lane, who died July the 29th, 1870, in the 23rd year of his age. Sacred to the memory of George Charles, infant son of Mr. Henry Lane, who died on June the 14th, 1854, aged 2 years and 10 months. Also Elizabeth, wife of Mr. Henry Lane, died November the 30th, 1851, aged 31 years. So we've done these ones, done that one. That one we covered. That's the first Stepney meeting house man, isn't it? I can't remember his name. Box tombs here, and they are worn away, but I will show you them nonetheless. I've warned not to go too near to this one because it is collapsing. But this one here, you see the gap that runs around the top there? It's because a couple of years ago some little oiks lifted the top of it off to see what was inside. When they discovered what was inside, they just left it. The opening does go down into the vault, and there are, I think the lady inside, Maggie, she said there's 5 or 6 coffins in there, all broken up and bits of bones and stuff. She went, horrible as it sounds. She's quite funny, she's East End. She went, horrible as it sounds, kid. She went, the old sextons in them days used to rob any of the jewellery as soon as the family was gone. I thought, This old curio on the wall there, it's pretty much worn away. If you can, because I can't make it out of my eyes from here, so if you can make it out, I'll be much grateful to you. And you got another one there. Sacred to the memory of Mr. Christopher Horn, who departed this life January the 24th, 1841, aged 76 years. Sorry, in the 76th year of his age. Also Mrs. Sarah Horn, wife of the above, who departed this life December the 22nd, 1842, aged 76 years. Also Mr. Thomas Horn, son of the above, who departed this life September the 27th, 1858, aged, and I think that's 50 or 59 years, but it's very worn away. The family vault of Mr. Christopher Horn of Mile End Road. A lot of these people would have been business owners, shipbuilders, boat builders, things like that. Sacred to the memory of Mrs. Sarah Reidley, 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 daughter of Mr. Christopher and Sarah Horn, who departed this life April the 18th, 1860, aged 63 years. Also of Mrs. Anne Horn, widow of Mr. Thomas Horn, who departed. Thomas Horn, formerly of the something and grey. No, I can't make it out, it's too worn, that bit. She died October the, I think that's the 2nd, 18 8, the rest of it's gone, aged 78 years. See, bits and bobs of them wear away completely. Obviously stone being a natural product, it can be porous in bits and stronger in the other. Here is the lovely old church. The charnel house is under the high altar. There's a bone chute just over there. And in the old days, I've spoke about it quite a lot, they would have charnelled a churchyard where they'd start burying round one side, work their way round, and every 100 years or so, it was normally every 100 years, they'd get back round this side, start digging up, put the bones into the charnel house, and then new graves. The wealthy and rich were left alone generally. They generally bequeathed money in their wills for the upkeep of their tombs, which meant, please leave me alone. But for the poor and people who didn't have a fancy tomb that was upkept or whatnot and that, you ended up in a charnel house or a bone house. And it was perfectly acceptable in those days. People knew about it and they didn't seem to mind it. As long as you stayed within the site of your parish church, ready for Judgment Day, that was it. They were happy. We hope. And we're going to walk back round this way to where we began. And that shall end our tour. You'll see a couple of images of the graveyard as it was, or churchyard I always call them. Churchyard as it was years ago. And yeah, and that'll pretty much conclude our tour. Whew, it's warm. Let me get Nice view of the church from there. This church has a very long and interesting, a bit macabre at times history. There were a few bodies snatched from this churchyard in the body snatcher eras, hence why quite a few of the tombs have got the old spiked grated fences around them to try and protect. Yeah, some people, Maggie was telling me, she went, if you look, she went, because our records at sometimes, there was a curate called Mr. Nathaniel, and he worked here on and off with for the vicar, basically a vicar's apprentice in that kind of sense, for about 25 years, and he was very accurate with the details he wrote, and he often put the date of when a person died and when they was buried, and sometimes it's quite a long time in between, like 10 or 15 days, and I went, that must have been a bit ripe in the summer. I went, were they like the rich ones that was embalmed and lead coffins? She went, no. She went, you could pay a bit extra and be kept in here till the body was beyond use to any anatomist, and then you'd be buried. And when your funeral happened, it'd be let known that the body had been charneled, which basically, yeah, you were fit for nothing. So yeah, not a nice fault, but there we are. It stopped the body snatchers. Anyway, hope you all found this one interesting, and we'll be off for some old pictures of the churchyard now, and you'll see how many gravestones there were back in the day, because they cleared so many of the London churchyards. Makes it easier for the mowers. They put a lot of the gravestones along the walls, things like that. So yeah, as I say, hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and off we go into the past for some historical photos. And here we see the churchyard, earliest image I can get, 1746. And you can see the church at this time still has its little turret on top, proudly flying the red pennant, of course. As you can see from this image, there are a lot more gravestones dotted around back then than there are now. 1755, and a different angle of the church, and it shows you some of the impressive box tombs that would have been around, plus of course the ordinary gravestones and headstones. Over towards the right, just above where you can see the box tomb, you can see a little house with smoke coming out. That's the old vicarage for St Dunstan's. Long gone now, I'm afraid. St Dunstan's and All Saints Church, Stepney, a painting painted in 1803 by George Shepherd. And if you look over towards the right, the box tomb that's the most prominent one that we can see, we actually covered that in our tour, so that's a nice little thing to continue with. St Dunstan's, Stepney, early 19th century, and you can see the bloke sitting on a box tomb wearing his hat and his stockings. He's probably a gravedigger or something like that, or a sexton possibly. 1950s, and this is our most recent old image, we'll put it that way. And as you can see, there's a lot of gravestones, and they're in the process of stacking some of them together, just like we see today. But interestingly, unlike with a lot of my churchyard videos, we don't get to see images of the actual people themselves, just their graves. And this is quite different, this one, because we do actually get some images. This was one of our first graves or tombs that we looked at, the one that was restored, of Captain Henry Mudd. And here is the man himself, Captain Henry Mudd, holding a baton, and you can see the ships in the background. Very impressive wig. And the tomb of Matthew Mead, the world's first independent chapel. This is that man, this is his tomb. We saw the tomb, didn't we, and had a look in the guidebook about this one. And here he is himself, Matthew Mead, in 1691. Matthew Mead, minister of the gospel, or minister of ye gospel, as this puts it. And last but not least, this is the vault that contains the remains of Joseph Soames, MP, is the bottom inscription. And here he is. This is an old engraving. It was of a painting, so it's a painting, and then this has been done as an engraving in a book. And he was an MP, but he also, as you can see by this image, had his fingers in shipping and things like that as well. So yeah, we don't normally get pictures of our deceased people that we go and visit in churchyards, but this was a bit of a different one, as I say. Hope you've all enjoyed, and thanks for watching.